So we're going to start simple, and then as we move through more videos, we'll show you how to add some extra complexity in there. So the way that this works, if we go back to our keynote, we have to create these animate elements, and we put them actually inside of the shape itself. So if I click on like one of these ellipses, like this ellipse here, we close the ellipse right at the end of the element, but we don't have to close it that way. We can actually close it separately with a new tag. Now it's less efficient because we're using extra characters to close it instead of just closing it here inside the first tag itself. But this allows us to add the animate tag in there. And with the animate tag, this will then affect the shape that it's inside of. Now, this seems a little counterintuitive to me because when we made links with anchor tags, we wrapped the anchor tag around the element that was going to be a link, right? But with animate, you don't. You put it inside of the element and you wrap the element around it, which is backwards. I'm not really sure why they made that decision, but it just seems counterintuitive to me. I would have liked if instead you could have actually wrapped the animate element around multiple actual objects and had them all work together and be affected by that same tag, just like with the anchor tags. But that's not what they did. So I guess the way that I would have done it doesn't really matter. Alright, so some of this gets a little weird, and being in brackets is kind of nice because it will like guess what I'm typing, and that will help out a little bit. We first need to add in attribute type. So we're looking for this, and the attribute type is XML. So SVG is like an XML styled markup language, and so that's why we use XML. Why we actually need that in there is a little unclear because what else will we be modifying with it, but that's just the way it was created. Then we add in attribute name, and this part actually depends. It depends on what we want to change, what we want to move. So like it could be the fill, it could be the CX, the CY, the RX, the RY. We're putting in here something from this element that we want to change. So like for right now, let's say that I want to change the fill color. Then you add in a from and a to, and these are whatever values are appropriate. So for fill, that would be more hex values, right? So maybe we start at white, since that's what it's at right now, and maybe we move to like a bright blue or something. So 0000FF. And then we have to decide how long we want it to take, so that's duration. And I could do like 5 seconds or 10 seconds or 1 second, or yeah, I could do 101 seconds. Whatever I want to do there, it's fine. And then lastly, I do the repeat count. So indefinite, or 0, or 5, or whatever you want. So let's see if it actually works. Oh, there we go. Did you see it? See, it's changing. It's going a little slow. Oh, it's going so slow because I made it so long. Why did I make it so long? Let's change that to 10 seconds. There you go. So you can see it's happening much faster now. And we can choose whatever attributes we want. Now, it should repeat just once. There we go. And it should stop. Right? I think it stopped. So it'll happen one time, and then it won't happen again. But if I stick a 1 in there, then it should happen twice, right? Because how many times it repeats, not how many times the total is. Now, what I can also do is if I want to affect multiple attributes, I can do that. But I need to actually put in multiple animate tags. You can't just repeat more attribute names. You actually need multiple tags in there, which is also sort of wasteful as far as like number of characters and the size, but whatever. So I could add in an RX if I wanted to, and it starts at this for the radius on the X plane, and then maybe I want it to switch to, I don't know, something ridiculous like 100, and we could make it happen in 5 seconds, and it could do it indefinitely. Now notice something interesting here. It's not really on the X plane, is it? It's on like a diagonal, and that's because it's being affected by this transform. So when I rotated this ellipse in Illustrator, it put this transform on there, and that affects the animation inside of it as well. So if I wanted this to move, so maybe instead of Rx, I actually make this CX, so where the center is, now it's going to move along that same axis, which is pretty cool because that's basically what I wanted it to do. I wanted them to shoot. Right now it's going the wrong direction, so maybe this is like 100, and this is like 0, right? And so now it's sort of shooting across. And maybe I want to change this to, instead of blue, maybe to like yellow, right? And this can happen in 3 seconds, and this can happen in 3 seconds. And now we have a really slow shooting star because my estimates aren't great. There we go. Obviously this needs to go a little bit further, so maybe 200, so it actually goes off the... Nope, still not enough. So it actually goes off of the canvas. And you can just kind of play with it and get it to go at whatever speed you need it to go at. Now I can do this on multiple ones, so maybe I want to grab all of this code and stick it on another one, like this one here. So I can do the same thing, delete that closing tag there, and create a new closing tag for it, paste that in, and now we've got 2 of them going. Now I'm going to need to modify these values a little bit because the transform puts it at a slightly different location, and that's fine. But maybe now this needs to go to like 600. Now keep in mind that this is going faster than the other one was because it's not about the duration, it's about the distance across that duration. So this is going 800 points across in 2.5 seconds, where that other one way up here was only going 400 in 2.5 seconds. So keep that in mind as you're playing with these. So that's essentially how the animate tag, or animate element, however you want to look at it, works. Now you can do other stuff with this as well, like mouse overs and on-click events in SVG. If you look it up, you'll find mostly people talking about doing it with CSS and JavaScript, and that's fine, but it can be done with just SVG as well, and we'll talk about that in one of the next videos.